Welcome back. Unlike other states in Nigeria, residents of Jos in Plateau State have been experiencing extreme cold weather conditions since the beginning of the year, with the temperature dropping to an average of 7 degrees Celsius through the night and rising to about 24 degrees in the afternoon. Residents now put on thick clothing to keep warm from the cold and dust. Health experts warn that children and the elderly are usually the hardest hit by the harsh condition.
Plateau State, known as the home of peace and tourism, is the 12th largest state in the country according to its landmass. Located in the north-central region, the state is geographically unique due to its boundaries of elevated hills. This is the forecast for Saturday, January 4th, 2020. It's expected to be extremely cold at night at 10 degrees. Friday night was worse at 7 degrees.
You know, say we are Jos boys, so we are used to it. They born us here, so it's normal here in Jos. We are used to this kind of cold.
Saeed and other residents are used to this harsh Harmattan season, which comes with dust and leaves most residents indoors. It's brought in by what the weatherman calls the northeast trade winds.
The cold is increasing every day and every day. The town, I didn't really get it. I feel like I'm in the east than being in the town now. As of now, I have 8-month baby at hand. Imagine the just cold weather.
I came yesterday from Borno State, from Biu area. The place is a little bit cool, but this place is it's more than that place.
According to a health experts, it's a weather that comes with different health challenges for children and the elderly.
When you have extremes of cold, it has its effects on the body. First of all, for those people who are at the extreme of ages, the very young and the very old, they have a problem with maintaining the normal body temperature. So they are the most vulnerable. For the very young children, apart from the fact that they would have the body's temperature will be very low, they could be exposed, to viruses, that cause respiratory tract infections. And again, when you now combine the harmattan and the dusts and the wind and the way it carries all these viruses and organisms about, the chances of having those infections are higher.
While the locals may be uncomfortable with the weather, the Camiola family, originally from New York, say it feels like being back home. They've been living in Jos for about 12 years.
This cold season right now is very similar to our winter. It's really nice to have this cold weather. In the U.S., we have insulation and we have heating systems, and so we have the ability to stay warm. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we have mostly our houses are made out of cement, so that's really cold. Our windows don't seal really well, so the wind will bring in the cold. So that's a really big challenge. So when someone says, well, I can handle this cold weather in Jos, you have to take those things into consideration. So bundling up with several layers of clothing, trying to stay warm, using a fire and different things will help you in this time.
And as the Harmattan season continues in Plateau State, residents have been advised to take precautionary measures to fight the prevailing conditions, including putting on warm clothing if they must leave their homes.
To health issues now, a recent statistic by the National Demographic and Health Survey, NDHS, shows that 64% of every child in Jigawa State is stunted as a result of malnutrition. Channels Television visited some communities in the state to look at the level of government intervention in the fight against the menace.
This is Kowa Village, a small Fulani community in Burning Kudu Local Government Council of Jigawa State. Although farming and herding are the major occupations for men in the community, a number of the children here suffer from severe acute malnutrition. Isiaku Abdu is an animal sales agent with 3 wives. He says he can't tell the number of children he has until he counts them. He also has a set of twins who are malnourished.
My twins were born healthy, but later we realized one was bigger than the other. That's when I asked my wife to go to the hospital. She went like 3 times so she could get treatment until one Abdullahi helped us. When they began taking the ready-to-use therapeutic food for a week, we began to see changes. But later, both of them caught measles, and that's why they shrunk again.
It's a weekly job for Sabdiya Idris, the mother of the twins, who has to visit the Bamena General Hospital with Hassan and Hussein. They join other victims to get the only available treatment for severely acute malnourished patients. First, she has to submit the used sachets before going through assessment to determine the level of improvement of the patients. The number of patients coming to the center on a weekly basis is what prompts the hospital to reject some and admit the limited number they can accommodate.
We used to do triaging. Triaging means we select the most complication one, the most severe malnutrition. We pick them, we can take like 15, 20, and more than that.
Katanga community in Kiyawa local government is just a few kilometers away from the state capital. The only primary health care center situated here is out of stock, and Channel's television crew were denied the opportunity to film and interview the patients. Mariam Dalha, whose child is receiving treatment, has to go back home as she was told she could not get the ready-to-use therapeutic food for her baby.
I have been coming to the hospital to collect the ready-to-use therapeutic food for my child. It all began after a brief fever. When I came to the hospital, I was told that I don't have enough breast milk. Then they began giving me the treatment until today when they said I couldn't get it. And they didn't tell me when to come back.
Chairman of the Civil Society Forum and the State Nutrition Officer believe the government needs to redouble its efforts.
So the government have to put ways and strategy in place in curtailing and controlling and eradicating the menace of malnutrition in the state, because this I do tell that the only medicine these people need in order to revive their children from the malnutrition.
All attempts to get a response from the Executive Secretary of the Primary Healthcare Center on the shortage proved abortive. For these innocent children suffering from hunger and malnutrition, the only ray of hope is that the state government and other stakeholders make an urgent intervention.
From Jigawa, we move to the nation's capital, Abuja, which is no doubt one of the few cities in the country with a well-connected road network. But the influx of people from states across the country and the increase in the number of vehicles appears to be affecting free movement in and out of the city. Our next report examines the role played by road users as well as what the Federal Capital Authority should do to address this.
The Abuja city center is renowned for its road network, as motorists move with ease within the city. The story is, however, very different for residents in some of the satellite towns who must find their way to the city center to work on a daily basis. From the Yanya-Maraba axis to the Gwarimpa-Kubwa axis of Abuja, the traffic story is the same every workday. Motorists and other road users spend hours in gridlock.
There are several issues.
Officials of the Federal Capital Territory Traffic Management Committee highlights the reasons behind the traffic situation on these roads.
Wow, when you look at the Maraba-Yanyan road here, the entry point in the morning as well, the Kugbo acclivity, the Kugbo Hill that doesn't have a pedestrian bridge, also slow down movement. Now, at the exit point of all of this area, the Gwarimpa U-turn is also a problem when people are going home on the outer northern expressway, which is the Kubwa Road. When you come to the airport road, you have Okada riders trying to come toward the road. You have indiscriminate parking, which is causing traffic gridlock around the FHA area, Federal Housing Estate in Lugbe, around Car Wash, around Bega and other areas here. When you come to the Yanyan Road, roadside trading cause problem there, indiscriminate parking, although we had freed that alignment completely. Even in Dutse Alahachi, we get that here, roadside trading and market, which we have also freed.
A higher population of Abuja residents live in the satellite towns. This explains why there is often very heavy inflow of people and vehicles into the city center every morning as workers try to get to their offices. While some of these workers believe that there is need for more road infrastructure, others are of the opinion that the FCT authorities should work at eliminating the human factors causing the gridlock.
At times, those transports are even causing nuisance. Maybe you park, even though you park very well, they want to explore something from you. You understand? On this highway, I didn't think. Police should do their work, not task force.
All we need is a bypass. But we don't know for this dual carriage they are doing. We don't know how long it's going to take us. But I think the most important thing is the bypass. It's going to solve a lot of problems.
The major thing that government needs to do, I think they need to expand this road. That would ease the hold up of this place.
Imagine people going to work, spending 2 hours on the road. So for me, the National Association of Road Transport Owners, National Union of Road Transport Workers, the Federal Road Safety, the VIO have to come into synergy and find a way to make sure that even if it has to do with reorientation of road users, private and public road users, then we have to go into that such holistic method to get things right.
There are currently ongoing constructions on some of these traffic-prone areas. Perhaps when some of them are completed, the hardship experienced by road users because of the heavy gridlock will be ameliorated.
The federal government has jacked up electricity tariff. Tenny has that and other stories on Business News.
Thanks, Melinda. Welcome to Business News. The federal government, through the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, has approved the immediate review of electricity tariffs across the country. NERC announced this in a series of documents obtained by Channels Television on Saturday. The documents, dated December 31st, 2019, were jointly signed by the NERC chairman, Joseph Momo, as well as the Commissioner for Legal, License and Compliance, Dafe Akpene. The review of the amount paid by various categories of electricity consumers indicated an increase which ranges from 59.7% to 77.6%. Consumers classified as residential were, however, excluded from the review as the 4 naira per kilowatt hour they pay was left unchanged. The order is to be carried out by all the 11 distribution companies spread across the country. According to the latest order, the new amount to pay varies among categories of electricity consumers such as residential, commercial, industrial, special and lighting. Analysts at Codrose Capital expect Nigeria's economy to reach a peak of 2.34% by the fourth quarter of 2020, as well as reaching full-year growth of 2.25% year-on-year. In its full 2020 year outlook report, Codrose Capital described the non-oil sector as front-runner for 2020 growth after a modest performance recorded in 2019. According to the reports, the combination of the extension of OPEC's crude oil production cut agreement and unfavorable high base from 2019 looks set to put a cap on oil sector growth in 2020. The analysts also expect higher growth in the service and agricultural sectors to support the non-oil GDP growth of 2.06% year-on-year. The report also mentions that the Central Bank of Nigeria's push for higher credit to the private sector is expected to improve activities within the manufacturing space. Nigeria has a lot to benefit from the proposed single currency. This is according to the national president of the National Association of Nigerian Traders, who explains that given its market size and export potentials, more economic gains will be recorded when the single currency is finally approved. However, at a recent meeting of ECOWAS officials, ministers of finance and central bank governors, most countries, including Nigeria, are yet to meet the convergence criteria.
The entire ECOWAS, for instance, has about 350 million people, as a population and market share. And then, if you look at Nigeria, we have almost about 200 million people, or if not more. And so it means that Nigeria will benefit more. And moreover, the traders here in Nigeria are more. And of course, there is no country in West Africa where you go to where you don't have Nigerian traders, occupying the space. So if there is any country that should benefit normally, ordinarily from the eco currency, I think it should be Nigeria. And again, it's a way of redistribution of wealth. And I've said this in other climes, that eco currency, single currency, does not only, simplifies trade. It does not only eases trade and transactions, but it also becomes an instrument for the redistribution of wealth. Wealth to the populations, wealth to especially the poor and the vulnerable, because you are moving goods from one end to another, transacting without the serious impediments of exchange of currencies.
Well, the Nigerian equities market kicked off the first trading day of 2020 on a positive note, with the all-share index and market capitalization appreciating by 2.09%. Meanwhile, a total turnover of 2.309 billion shares worth 21.67 billion naira were exchanged in 14,906 deals by investors. Omoluabi Mortgage Bank, Transnational Corporation of Nigeria, and Zenith Bank were major contributors to the total equity turnover volume and value. 44 equities appreciated in price during the week, led by Cornerstone Insurance, while Fitson Healthcare led 24 losers for the week. Traders attribute this week's positive performance to the flight by investors from the developed markets to the emerging markets, following uncertainties over tensions between the United States and Iran. And that's business news. Thanks for watching. I'm Teniola Shobowale. Back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Teniola. Still ahead on the news at 10. World number 1, Rafa Nadal leads Spain to victory over Georgia at the inaugural ATP Cup in Australia. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.